The system isn't broken. It was perfectly engineered to bleed you dry and keep you enslaved until you die. You are walking into a financial slaughterhouse blindfolded. Watch to the very end to unlock the ruthless mathematical escape route, or remain their prey forever. The choice is yours. Imagine standing at the edge of a pitch-black abyss. You are clutching the meager savings you traded thousands of hours of your finite life to acquire. You take a step forward into the financial markets, believing the comfortable lies they sold you, that this is a civilized gentleman's game of wealth creation. You have absolutely no idea what is waiting for you in the dark. The terrifying, unvarnished truth that the polished financial advisors desperately want to hide from you is that the global economy is a psychological meat grinder. It is a predatory machine engineered to prey on your deepest human fears, repeatedly attempting to violently tear your portfolio and your sanity to shreds. If you can survive its psychological torture, you will secure generational wealth. But if you blink, if you let the terror take hold, you will be ruthlessly liquefied to fund someone else's super yacht. This is the exact moment you must make a choice: become the predator or remain the prey. Before I drag you down into the brutal realities of this financial war zone, I need you to hit that subscribe button right now. Your subscription is the absolute lifeblood of this channel, giving us the sheer drive and resources to continue exposing these financial survival tactics that the system tries to keep hidden from you. Welcomes you to the harsh, unfiltered reality of building true wealth. Let me walk you through the historical graveyard, a place echoing with the silent screams of millions who panicked. The year is 1987. Black Monday hits with the force of a sudden, fatal heart attack. In a single rotation of the Earth, the Dow Jones violently hemorrhages 22.6%. The market suffers a massive liquidity blood clot, and the evening news broadcasts scream that capitalism itself has flatlined. People were terrified, watching their life savings evaporate before their eyes. Then, the calendar turns to the year 2000. The dot-com bubble bursts, revealing a melting iceberg of speculative garbage. Companies with zero revenue and a fancy web address burned trillions of dollars of working-class money in a bonfire of unhinged greed. 8 years later, the floor falls out again. The 2008 global financial crisis descends like a plague. The bedrock of the banking system crumbles. Real estate margin calls echo across the globe like gunshots in the night. I saw average, hard-working citizens forced into a sickening campaign of financial amputation, liquidating their shattered retirement funds at the absolute, catastrophic bottom just to keep a roof over their children's heads. And the trauma of 2020 is still fresh in our lungs. The pandemic wiped out 30% of the market's entire value in a matter of terrifying weeks. Fear was a physical weight in the air. People treated cash like it was a financial oxygen tank, hoarding it in their homes as the outside world locked down in apocalyptic silence. In every single one of these catastrophic moments in human history, the crowd psychology was identical. It was sheer, unadulterated, primal panic. The so-called experts on television begged you to sell. Your terrified neighbors told you to sell. Every biological instinct wired into your brain screamed at you to run away and liquidate whatever was left. And every time the market twitched upward in these bloody waters, the pundits mocked it as a dead cat bounce, promising an even deeper doom. But I want you to step back and look at the history books from where we stand today. What happened next? The market did not just heal. It roared back to life and violently shattered previous all-time highs. Those who gave in to the terror and panic sold did nothing but permanently lock in their destruction. They committed outright financial suicide, while the silent, disciplined minority bought their assets for pennies on the dollar. Here is my naked, bleeding truth. I stepped into this arena when I was 18 years old. There was no trust fund waiting for me. There was no wealthy mentor handing me a blueprint. I started with blood, sweat, and a relentless, ruthless discipline to completely tune out the hysterical noise of the world. I learned early on that the stock market is a cold, calculating force. Over the sweeping arc of modern history, the S500 has averaged an annualized return of roughly 11.23%. Let me force-feed you this mathematics, because the numbers do not care about your anxiety, your fears, or your excuses. If you methodically inject just $250 a month into the market, the exact amount most people mindlessly piss away on depreciating liabilities, fleeting trends, and weekend garbage, and you leave it entirely alone to ride that historical return, do you know what happens after 4 decades? You do not just save $120,000, you engineer an empire of over $1.8 million. That is a devastatingly powerful return of over 6,000%. It is not some scam or a get-rich-quick delusion. It is the brutal, undeniable mathematical reality of compound interest. Today, I am reaching through this screen, grabbing you by the collar, and forcing you to look at exactly how to build this wealth step by excruciating step. This is not gentle financial advice. This is your survival manual for a world that was entirely designed to keep you broke. To truly weaponize that mathematical reality of compound interest, you must first recognize and violently sever the invisible chains that are currently bleeding your capital dry. The system does not just want you to panic during market crashes. It is methodically designed to ensure you never have enough capital to invest in the first place. From the moment you are old enough to comprehend a television commercial, you are subjected to a masterclass in psychological manipulation. The matrix of modern consumerism is a brilliantly disguised form of indentured servitude. It convinces you that the gaping void in your soul, the exhaustion from your soul-crushing 9-to-5 job, and your deep-seated insecurities can be permanently cured by swiping a piece of plastic. They sell you a lifestyle you cannot afford, to impress people who do not care about you, using money that you have not even earned yet. This is the velvet-lined trap that ensnares 99% of the population, turning potential generational wealth into immediate corporate profit. Look around you with your eyes wide open. You see people driving $80,000 luxury vehicles, wearing designer clothes that cost more than a mortgage payment, and flashing the latest technology. But if you strip away the shiny veneer, you will see the rotting core of modern existence. The vast majority of these people are drowning in a silent, suffocating ocean of high-interest consumer debt. They are living paycheck to paycheck, one minor emergency away from total financial collapse. They have traded their future freedom for the temporary, fleeting dopamine hit of looking rich today. This is the tragedy of the modern worker. You trade your finite, irrecoverable life force, your hours, your days, your youth, for a paycheck, and then you willingly hand that paycheck right back to the very corporations that exploit you. Every time you finance a depreciating liability, every time you pay a 25% interest rate on a credit card balance for a vacation you have already forgotten, you are literally selling days of your future back to the system. You are volunteering for longer hours, later retirement, and endless anxiety. I had to learn this the hard way, sitting at a kitchen table stacked with bills, feeling the physical weight of financial suffocation pressing down on my chest. I realized that the difference between the wealthy and the poor is not just income. It is entirely rooted in their relationship with consumption. The poor and the middle class buy liabilities that they falsely believe are assets. They buy the illusion of wealth. The truly wealthy, the predators in this financial ecosystem, buy cash-flowing assets that quietly generate more money while they sleep. If you want to survive the slaughterhouse, you must undergo a radical psychological rewiring. You must learn to view a new car not as a status symbol, but as a wealth-destroying liability that loses 20% of its value the second rubber meets the pavement. You must learn to look at designer labels not as fashion, but as a tax on the insecure. The $250 a month I mentioned earlier, the seed of your future multi-million-dollar empire, is currently being stolen from you by subscription services you do not use, interest payments on things you do not need, and a lifestyle that is slowly killing you. You must become completely ruthless about where your energy goes. Asceticism is not about depriving yourself of joy. It is about aggressively protecting your capital so you can eventually buy the only thing on this earth that actually matters. Once you step out of the consumer illusion and stop funding the lifestyle of a prisoner, you must redirect every single drop of that reclaimed capital into forging an unshakable financial fortress. This is where the men are separated from the boys and the women from the girls, because building real wealth is agonizingly boring. Let me shatter another delusion for you right now. Investing is not supposed to be an adrenaline-fueled casino ride. If your heart is pounding when you look at your brokerage account, you are not investing. You are gambling, and the house always wins. The internet is infested with fake gurus peddling overnight riches, screaming about the next obscure cryptocurrency, zero-day options, or penny stock that will allegedly send you to the moon. They are hunting for desperate, greedy prey. I have watched countless hopeful individuals dump their hard-earned money into these speculative black holes, only to watch their life savings incinerate in a matter of hours. True wealth architecture is not about chasing the fastest rocket. It is about building a slow, unstoppable juggernaut that can withstand any economic hurricane. The foundation of this fortress is built on owning a piece of human progress. When you buy into broad market index funds like the S500, you are not betting on a single CEO's ego or a passing consumer trend. You are aggressively acquiring microscopic ownership in the 500 most powerful, ruthless, and profitable corporations in the United States. You own a sliver of every smartphone sold, every package delivered, every life-saving drug patented, and every drop of oil burned. You are aligning your financial destiny with the relentless, grinding gears of global capitalism. While the masses are consuming these products and draining their bank accounts, you are sitting on the other side of the register, quietly collecting the profits. This is the profound shift from consumer to owner. And while index funds are the bedrock, the walls of your fortress are fortified by tangible, hard assets. Real estate, for instance, allows you to leverage the bank's money to acquire physical land and shelter, basic human necessities that will never go out of style. But you must understand the silent enemy that is constantly trying to breach your fortress walls: inflation. Cash is not a safe haven. It is a melting block of ice. Every single day you leave your capital sitting in a traditional savings account, central banks are invisibly reaching into your pocket and stealing your purchasing power by printing more fiat currency. Inflation is the most regressive tax on the poor, heavily penalizing those who do not understand how to deploy their money. To defend against this, your portfolio must be invested in assets that intrinsically rise with the cost of living. When the cost of lumber and labor explodes, the value of your real estate explodes with it. When the cost of consumer goods rises, the revenue of the companies in your index fund rises accordingly. You insulate yourself from the decay of the dollar by owning the very things that the dollar is trying to buy. Building this portfolio requires a cold, mechanical mindset. You do not check it every day. You do not alter your strategy because a politician gave a frightening speech or a central banker tweaked an interest rate. You lay the bricks, month after month, year after year, with the silent, deadly focus of a sniper. Building this fortress of assets, however, demands more than just good intentions and basic financial literacy. It requires the aggressive scaling of your income and the ruthless automation of your money. You cannot simply budget your way to millions if your underlying income is fundamentally broken. Frugality has a hard mathematical floor, but your earning potential is theoretically limitless. I see too many people obsessing over cutting out a $3 cup of coffee while remaining completely stagnant in their careers for a decade. If you want to accelerate your escape from the matrix, you must become undeniably valuable to the marketplace. The brutal truth is that you are currently being paid exactly what you are worth in the eyes of the economy. If you are easily replaceable, your paycheck will reflect that vulnerability. To increase your capital supply lines, you must aggressively hunt for new skills, shoulder heavier responsibilities, and solve larger, more complex problems. Whether that means negotiating a massive raise, pivoting to a high-margin industry, or launching a side business in the dark hours of the morning while your competition is sleeping, you must expand your shovel. The bigger the shovel, the more capital you can scoop into your investment machine. But even a massive income is entirely useless if you rely on human willpower to invest it. Human beings are inherently flawed, emotional creatures. If you wait until the end of the month to invest whatever is left over, I guarantee you will find an excuse to spend it. A sudden car repair, a spontaneous weekend trip, or a flash sale will magically absorb your surplus capital. This is where you must remove yourself from the equation entirely. You must engineer a system of forced financial discipline through absolute automation. The moment your paycheck hits your bank account, before you can even look at the balance, a predetermined percentage must be violently ripped away and deployed into your investment accounts. You pay yourself first, treating your future wealth as the most non-negotiable, urgent bill in your life. This automation is the ultimate psychological shield. When the market is bleeding out during a recession and the headlines are screaming about an impending depression, your natural biological instinct will be to stop investing. But your automated machine does not feel fear. It does not watch the news. It simply executes the program, ruthlessly buying assets at a massive discount while the rest of the world is paralyzed by panic. You are actively dollar-cost averaging into the abyss, effectively lowering your cost basis and positioning yourself for explosive gains when the inevitable recovery arrives. I cannot overstate the peace of mind this brings. You stop trying to time the market, a fool's errand that has bankrupted countless arrogant traders, and you surrender to the math. You create a relentless, wealth-generating terminator that operates in the background of your life day and night, regardless of your mood, your motivation, or the state of the world. It is the alchemy of turning the sweat of your labor into an autonomous financial organism that will eventually grow powerful enough to sustain you entirely. When you combine this escalating income with a ruthlessly automated, emotionally detached investment machine over a period of decades, the final result transcends mere money and elevates you to a state of absolute personal sovereignty. We do not endure the psychological meat grinder of the financial markets just to look at a high score on a bank screen. We do not sacrifice the fleeting pleasures of consumerism today just to die as the richest corpse in the graveyard. The ultimate, raw purpose of this entire brutal journey is to buy back your life. Wealth, in its purest, most distilled form, is not about the accumulation of physical objects. It is about the total elimination of forced obligations. It is the profound, quiet power of waking up on a Tuesday morning and realizing that you do not owe a single second of your day to anyone else on this earth. Imagine the psychological lightness of that existence. When your passive income finally exceeds your living expenses, a fundamental shift occurs in your reality. You are no longer terrified of a tyrannical boss because you hold the power to walk away without a second thought. You are no longer bound to a toxic work environment, a failing local economy, or the suffocating stress of an unexpected medical bill. You become entirely untouchable. You are immune to the panic that grips the masses during corporate layoffs or economic recessions. This is what they call FU money, but I prefer to call it absolute sovereignty. It is the freedom to choose your struggles, to spend your finite time raising your children, pursuing your deepest passions, or building a legacy that will outlast your physical body. You transform from a cog in the capitalist machine into the architect of your own universe. This level of freedom is not a mythical fairy tale reserved for the elite. It is a mathematical certainty for anyone possessing the sheer grit to stay the course. But the clock is ticking, and time is the one asset that even billionaires cannot buy more of. The worst financial mistake you can make is not picking the wrong stock, but waiting for the perfect moment to begin. There is no perfect moment. The economy will always be uncertain. The headlines will always be terrifying, and the system will always try to distract you. You have to make the conscious, radical decision to declare war on your own poverty today. Look back at the historical slaughterhouses. Look at the wreckage of those who panicked, and look at the empires built by those who held their ground. The blueprint is entirely in your hands. You now know the rules of the game, the traps set by the consumer matrix, and the unyielding power of compounded, automated discipline. The only question left is whether you have the stomach to execute it. Will you remain the prey, permanently funding the dreams of others? Or will you step into the dark, become the predator, and take back your life? The choice is yours, and your future self is begging you not to fail. True financial freedom is not the result of luck or overnight windfalls. It is the calculated byproduct of a brutal, systematic war against the consumerist matrix. You are currently trapped in a cycle designed to exchange your finite life force, your time and labor, for depreciating liabilities. To break these chains, you must adopt a predatory mindset toward your own capital. This involves shifting from a consumer who feeds corporate coffers to an owner who leverages the relentless, compounding power of the global market. Building a bulletproof portfolio requires more than just intelligence. It demands the cold, mechanical execution of a system that functions without emotion. You must aggressively scale your income, automate your investments, and insulate yourself from the decay of inflation by holding assets that mirror human progress. Frugality is your weapon, and automation is your shield. When you remove your own flawed human psychology from the equation, you stop gambling and start building. This journey is not about hoarding gold or status. It is about achieving absolute sovereignty, the power to own your time, dictate your own terms, and wake up every day beholden to no one. You are either a cog in someone else's machine or the architect of your own empire. The math is absolute, and the choice is yours. The most profound lesson here is that money is not currency. It is stored life energy. Every dollar you waste on a status symbol is a piece of your future freedom you are burning for a temporary chemical hit of dopamine. Audit your life force leaks. Look at your bank statement from the last 30 days. Identify every subscription, convenience, or luxury you purchased that didn't contribute to your growth or long-term security. Cut them ruthlessly. Automate the pain. Set up an automatic transfer for your investment account to occur the second your paycheck hits. If you don't see the money, you won't miss it. Invest in your shovel. Use the time you save by not chasing consumer trends to learn a high-income skill. Stop trying to save your way to millions and start earning your way there. If you could cut one major expense from your life today to double your monthly investment contribution, what would it be? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you are taking back control of your financial future. Support the mission. If this message resonated with you and you're ready to stop being a pawn in the system, please hit that subscribe button. Your support provides the momentum we need to keep creating content that cuts through the noise and helps you build real, lasting sovereignty. Let's keep moving forward.